The IDF are saying they killed 6 terrorists. The second round caused additional deadly harm to medical and media officials who came to the scene to assist after the first strike. 3 other journalists also killed. Holy shit. A new video reveals that there was a third strike in this double tap.
A live Reuters...
Which really means it's not a double tap, it's a triple tap. Or a double tap plus 1 tap. Whatever you want to... They hit it 3 times.
A live Reuters feed of the Gazan city of Khan Yunis at 10:08 a.m. The shot freezes.
In what seems to be a strike that, if it's what they say they were aiming for, they could have done with something that's not a fucking tank. Like, if they're saying that there were dudes doing military surveillance from a stairwell in this building where you could actually film them and see them from outside, then it's like, yeah, why didn't you use like a sniper or like a smaller munition or like a drone? Like, there are other things they could have used, yeah. Like,
and the sound drops. Israel has targeted the 4th floor of the Nasser hospital where the camera stood.
Look, because you can see, yeah, apparently there was someone using a camera for surveillance up here. But I'm like... Yeah.
Reuters cameraman Hussam al-Masri is killed. Emergency and health workers rush to the scene, along with journalists from a ground floor media tent. It is all broadcast live by Al-Khad TV from the street below. The damaged camera and live streaming unit are held up and shown to the crowd. Visible on the staircase is Mariam Abu Daga working for AP. Al-Jazeera cameraman Mohammed Salama and freelance journalist Muath Abu Taha in the final moments of their lives. Reuters cameraman Hatem Omar, seen here in a red t-shirt, films the scene on his phone. A rescue worker says they carried 2 body bags down as they gathered remains of a 3rd body.
And then they strike it again.
There was a second explosion.
That's the second one.
It was 10:17 a.m., 9 minutes after the first strike.
Bro, this is fucking insane. Look how many people there are. Look how many people have come to this scene, and people outside as well. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Reuters cameraman Hatem Omar, seen here in a red t-shirt, films the scene on his phone. A rescue worker says they carried 2 body bags down as they gathered remains of a 3rd body. There was a second explosion. It was 10:17 a.m., 9 minutes after the first strike. Footage filmed seconds later is too horrific to show. Lifeless bodies piled on top of each other. New video obtained by CNN reveals that this second explosion was in fact 2 near-simultaneous strikes. The second and third strikes, less than a second apart, appear to have caused most of the deaths. One weapons expert says, quote, "It suggests a more carefully coordinated attack."
Wait, this isn't a vehicle. Hang on, am I retarded? If tanks fire shells, did they go on a rainbow curve? Like, did they do that, or the tank's not obviously higher than the building? This would be like, is this a mortar shell? This is a mortar shell, no? Or like artillery, or some kind of artillery fire.
Less than a second apart, appear to have caused most of the...
Everything has dropped. Yeah, but obviously this is like the 3rd floor of a building, isn't it? A tank can... I don't know if they can. I don't know if tanks can go like that. Can they do that? I don't know.
Deaths. One weapons expert...
They will fire upwards for long range. I don't know if they do like that level of long range.
Says, quote, "It suggests a more carefully coordinated attack rather than a single vehicle firing at a target of opportunity."
Tanks can do anything. Wow, thank you, Consciousness Inc. That's really fucking helpful. Hang on. Like, how far do tanks fire from? Because obviously they don't fire from that far. How far do tanks fire shells from? Oh, they can fire from 3 to 5 kilometers. Okay, if you're doing that, that probably would mean... Let me see. Tank shell firing path 5 kilometers. Yeah, they do. They do. But it would have had to have been from really far away. So the tank can function like artillery. Okay.
What is the point of waiting the humanitarian and medical staff to arrive to a specific area and target them once they arrive.
Israeli statements have evolved over the past 48 hours. Israel's Prime Minister called the deaths a, quote, tragic mishap. The IDF now says it was targeting a camera, quote, positioned by Hamas in the area of the Nasser hospital that was being used to observe the activity of IDF troops. No evidence was offered. The IDF claims 6 terrorists were killed, disputed by Hamas and health officials in Gaza. The IDF has not addressed the double strike, adding gaps will be examined, including the decision-making process and approved munition. Satellite images show Israeli combat vehicles, including tanks, stationed nearby the hospital. An Israeli security official tells CNN the military fired on the hospital with tank shells. The staircase was often used as a live camera position by Reuters, AP and other global media outlets. With international media kept out by Israel, local journalists grouped together here, searching for cell signal to feed their material to the world. The last functioning...
Am I going crazy, or does everything have to follow an arc trajectory? Yeah, but if you fire a fucking bullet or a tank from like fairly close, it's not going to go 4 floors high and then back down, right? That would imply it's from very far away. I just didn't know that tanks were used like as, they can basically be used as a mortar, like they'll fire shells from really far away. Okay.
Hospital in southern Gaza already struck multiple times. The United Nations says targeting hospitals, journalists and rescue workers is forbidden under international law, calling for accountability and transparency, adding neither have been readily apparent in previous incidents where Israel has investigated itself. Paula Hancock's CNN Abu Dhabi.
Whoa. And I guess the next bit of information that's going to come beyond that is what IDF investigation. Because they're not denying that this was their tank. They're not denying that this was their target. They're not denying that there was at least an initial target, but the second and third strike that does not make any sense based on what we're seeing. Like there's so many people there. So that, whichever way you look at it, is just a war crime. Like there's no way around it. Like what was it? 20 people died, right? 20 people. And you can see them before that next strike. They're saying they got 6 terrorists. So if they got 6 terrorists but with this many people, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is just in one frame. This guy looks like a child.
To feed their material to the world. The last functioning hospital in southern Gaza already struck more seconds and teenagers carried 2 body bags.
This is when they're carrying the 2. So the first strike kills 2 people. Is that what they're saying? And then the second one is what kills like the other 18
shown to the crowd. Visible on the staircase is Mariam Abu Daga working for AP. Al-Jazeera cameraman Mohammed Salama and freelance journalist Muath Abu Taha.
And the thing is, if you're lining up tank fire from several kilometers away, then you've presumably got someone else on the line. You've identified these people.
In the final moment,
you're saying how many people there are.
Of their lives.
I guess you're saying how many people you think are fucking
Reuters cameraman Hatem Omar
seen the number of people outside, which I guess is like
final moment.
Considered, I don't know how likely it is for a tank shell to miss.
Of their lives.
That range.
Reuters cameraman Hatem Omar, seen here in a red T-shirt, films the scene on his phone. A rescue worker says they.
Look how many people there are. You can see them all like jumbling around here as well. So if they're claiming to have got 6 terrorists, does that mean that they are claiming that they were watching these people for a few minutes, taking the bodies down and identifying them like facial recognition? If they say they got 6, surely that would mean that the first 2 of them would be the dead ones in this scene, right? From the first strike. Surely that would be the first 2 targets. So that it would actually mean there would be 4 afterwards.
Abu Daga working for AP. Al-Jazeera cameraman Mohammed Salama and freelance journalist Muath Abu Taha. in the final moments.
So really they're claiming that the first strike killed 2 people who were conducting military surveillance. And then the second thing is they're saying that they found 4 people who came in afterwards who were also, in their view, soldiers, but they're surrounded by like 20 odd people and hundreds of people outside. And they were like, yeah, go for it.
Reuters cameraman.
That's quite wacky. That's fucking insane. First strike got 3 dead. Oh, so the 2 body bags are just from, okay. So what, 3 then? 3 out of 20. Yeah, it's fucking mental. That's completely inexcusable. Yo. How is Prometheus back? I don't know. I did some unbans yesterday because I was trying to find someone who I accidentally banned. Also, I forgot to do the goal. I can't see them though because they're getting fucking, what do you call it? Autumn wadded. Do people know? Do people know when they've been unbanned? Because they just seem to come immediately. Or are they just watching the entire time and then they realize that they can't talk? Has Israel tried to justify the double tap yet? No. They're saying that they're investigating. I think, well, one person who seems to have been overseeing the strike, I think maybe one commander did say that it was justified, but I don't know. And the IDF are saying they killed 6 terrorists. So I guess someone's trying to say that they've... But numerous IDF officials have already slammed the decision to use tank fire in a hospital, as opposed to other precise targeting measures. Yeah. Reuters AP journalists were not a target, Intel spokesperson says. So they're not claiming military journalists this time. Military media, whatever the fuck Hamas calls them. Media martyrs. Chief of Staff Al-Jazeera did not make this declaration to clear the military of mistakes in the operation. Okay. Second release of additional details. More probing necessary into why tank shells were mistakenly approved for the operation and who gave the order. Distinguish between potential errors made by commanders in the field as well as commanders back at Southern Command Headquarters in Beersheba. Oh yeah, this is the whole... I remember people fucking clowned on me for this, but it's true. There are different levels of commander. A commander can have control over like between anything from 5 people to fucking 10,000. Like commander doesn't mean that. Yeah. The type of commander is fairly important. The target was a video surveillance camera and not the 6 terrorists. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? He's saying they just incidentally got 6 Hamas dudes afterwards. There have been reports that IDF Golani soldiers in the field had seen suspicious movements. The order to fire was given without knowing for sure that there were Hamas forces there, how many there were, or who they were. So far, the IDF has not presented all of its information regarding which of the 6 were terrorists, though information about some of those killed has already leaked unofficially. Where? One was involved on October 7th. Videos have shown the individual carrying a flag into Israel, not specifically carrying out any of the 1,200 murders. Oh, this is stuff that they're not going to release yet. Okay. The IDF already admitted that the attack or how it was carried and its result was a mistake early Monday afternoon. The issue immediately swelled to major global media coverage, partially because well-known journalists, including from Reuters, were killed in the attack. According to the IDF message on Tuesday, clearly some, and likely the majority of these journalists, were not Hamas. The military said it did not intend to harm journalists or innocent Palestinian civilians. They said the address for managing any such attack would have been IDF's Southern Command, which is headed by Yaniv Asor, though different levels of officials approve targets of varying levels of sensitivity. You would think you would have to go higher up if it's a hospital, right? Did not deny there were 2 separate rounds of fire in the hospital. The second round caused additional deadly harm to medical and media officials who came to the scene to assist after the first strike. The military's message on Tuesday did not address the justification for the second round of shelling. The likelihood that there were 2 rounds of shell firing was condemned even more strongly in global media coverage appeared to be an issue that would be even harder to explain. They can confirm the Reuters and AP journalists were not a target of the strike. 3 other journalists also killed. Holy shit. Reuters had a news feed from their own camera equipment. Hamas claimed in a statement that one of the 6 Palestinians whom Israel alleged were terrorists was killed in al-Masri, some distance from the hospital. Oh no. Did not clarify whether the 2 who were killed elsewhere were also civilians. The military statement identified what it called several gaps that the Israel's Chief of General Staff has instructed to be further examined. Further examination of the authorization process prior to the strike, including the ammunition approved, and examination of the decision-making process in the field. These are probably the more important things. And especially the difference between the first and the second, third one, because the second and third one are the ones that did most of the killing, right? Higher-level officials must approve an attack on a hospital? Well, obviously, okay. Don't even take any pride in figuring that one out. Even if there's a terrorist in the vicinity, IDF tries to avoid striking civilians. Brigadier General Effie Defrin said Monday night. Oddly enough, Defrin made gave no specific information about the Hamas assets that were struck during the incident. That led to speculation that there were disagreements within the IDF about what the target was and whether it was negligent to fire using shells as opposed to a more surgical and precise strike. Since Nasser took command of the IDF operations in Gaza in March, sources in the IAF have periodically slammed him for being less thorough in avoiding civilian casualties than his predecessor, Major General Yaron Finkelman. Finkelman is the guy who tried to deal with Yehuda Vash, the division commander in Gaza, 252. So they have let go of this guy and replaced him with someone who is less careful. I see. My own Finkelman. Yes, your own Finkelman. Well done. Well done. Civilian to terrorist ratio likely the worst since October 7th. IDF's recent ratios of civilians harmed compared with terrorists have likely been worse since the start of the war. For much of the war, a ratio of 60 civilians to 40% terrorists harmed seemed broadly accurate, various IDF officers said off the record. That would have put Israel in good standing compared with other countries that had to fight terrorists in urban areas with the systematic use of human shields, but this was at the stage when the IDF was sometimes killing thousands of Hamas terrorists per week or month. In contrast, over the past half year, the IDF said it has killed more than 2,000 Hamas terrorists. Yeah, this is where the ratio has gotten a lot worse, right? They say it's like 1 to 5 according to their numbers as well. Numerous examples of Hamas exaggerating or downright inventing non-existent mass civilian casualty incidents. Have they done this besides the Al-Ahli blast that we know? I don't know if they have. Not that I've seen. They haven't tossed Hamas estimates completely out the window. It's amazing how much you get from just listening to what IDF dudes are saying themselves, eh? Has declined to provide its own estimated civilian casualty tally. Yeah, right. Something that it always did in prior conflicts in Gaza. Cameraman Hussam al-Masri, one of the journalists killed in the strikes, was a contractor for Reuters. Photographer Hatem Khalid, also a Reuters contractor, was wounded. The officials in Gaza named 3 other journalists as Mariam Abu Daga, Associated Press, freelance for the AP, Mohammed Salama, Qatar-based Al-Jazeera, and Moaz Abu Taha. Rescue worker was among those killed, Gaza health officials said. The hospital was reportedly operating at full capacity, treating more than 1,000 patients. Yeah, because as far as I remember, Khan Yunis is one of the more controlled parts of Gaza now, because the IDF is actually technically is like occupying all over part of that area now. More than 50 people wounded. Okay, well, that definitely sounds like someone should be getting fired or jailed. We'll see if they, we'll see. Okay. I'm sure that will happen. Listen, don't hold your breath. What is it? Move to another post is more likely. Yeah, they'll become prime minister in 20 years. Egg. Yo. Okay, what is this? Hebrew Twitter. Oh no. This is the language, this is where they say all the genocide. Okay. This seems quite stupid. If they didn't fire 2 shells just because they felt like it, but rather tried to take down the camera and the operatives by another means that failed. What? According to who? What? They tried to snipe the camera and the camera was too strong. The sniper-proof camera. Then they tried a drone and the camera threw a stick at it like Sinwar. Bruh. Whatever. Alright, can't be fucked, man. Fuck that. Fuck that. They had reasons, they were just terrible. Okay. In other news, I guess since we're doing a little news segment now, Hezbollah are still very much on the back foot. But whether this actually goes all the way, we will know fairly soon, actually. The United States and the Lebanese government, well, the United States has given the Lebanese government an end of the year timeline for fully dismantling Hezbollah's arms. This is what the US have said in their proposed plans. And I don't know if the Lebanese government has actually said, yes, we are going to go full on with this timescale. But the US are aiding the Lebanese armed forces right now. And they are coordinating quite a bit with each other. But yeah, it does seem like there's fairly, again, this is quite ambitious, right? This is quite ambitious to say that that by December 31st, Hezbollah will be fully disarmed, and then also Israel will withdraw from the 5 hilltops that they still have in South Lebanon, and the strikes would stop. Phase 1 would require the Beirut government to issue a decree within 15 days committing to Hezbollah's full disarmament by December 31st. In this phase, Israel would also cease ground, air, and sea military operations. So they're actually offering for Israeli strikes to stop as the Lebanese government finishes the job. Phase 2 would require Lebanon to begin implementing the disarmament plan within 60 days, with the government approving a detailed Lebanese army deployment plan to support the plan to bring all arms under the authority of the state. The plan will specify disarmament targets. During Phase 2, Israel would begin withdrawing from its positions it holds in South Lebanese, and Lebanese prisoners held by Israel would be released in coordination. Oh yeah, they're doing prisoner exchanges as well. During Phase 3, within 90 days, Israel will withdraw from the final 2 of the 5 points it holds. Funding will be secured to initiate rubble removal and infrastructure rehabilitation and preparation for reconstruction. In Phase 4, within 120 days, Hezbollah's remaining heavy weapons will be dismantled, including missiles and drones. And then in Phase 4, the US, Saudi, France, Qatar, and other friendly states will organize an economic conference to support the Lebanese economy and reconstruction, and to implement President Trump's vision for the return of Lebanon as a prosperous and viable country. The big issues here, I suppose, are going to be the estimation of how strong Hezbollah is and how strong the will is to disarm them. The problem is that when you poll Lebanese people, and to be fair, this poll that I found was from a Hezbollah-funded think tank, so pinch of salt, but it's not surprising numbers. It said that 58% of Lebanese people oppose disarmament, but the poll in question, and the reason I bring up a Hezbollah poll is clear in a minute, it said that they oppose disarmament of Hezbollah without a coherent national defense strategy. So if the Lebanese people, and this is according to Hezbollah's polls, which, even according to their polls, it seems that only a fairly small majority, fairly slight majority of people in Lebanon would see Hezbollah disarmed, conditional on there being a national defense strategy. As in, if they believe that there can be an alternative military force in Lebanon that they feel defends their interests against threats or against Israel or against Syria or whatever the fuck, then they believe that would be enough of a reason to accept Hezbollah disarming. And that's why the American input there is very important, because the problem with Lebanon is that Hezbollah spent so long being stronger than the Lebanese army. They were more powerful. They had more devoted fighters. They had a lot of funding from Iran. They were more well armed. They had everything. They had every advantage possible. Whereas the Lebanese army, which again, incidentally, is mostly Shia Muslims, a lot of people don't know that, is full of corruption. They're quite weak. They have a lot less military experience. They haven't been beefing themselves up in Syria and accumulating like years of military experience against Syrian rebels or fighting alongside Russians or the Assad government or anything else. So they do need quite a lot of strengthening, but we still have a situation right now in Lebanon where the two top offices, the prime minister and the president, both see the disarmament of Hezbollah as a top priority. Nawaf Salam, who's the Sunni prime minister, who used to be the president of the ICJ, incidentally, said that the disarmament of Hezbollah is the goal. It's not the starting point. It's just that that's the goal of his office. Same with Aoun as well. But it's been difficult. I think just earlier this month, there was an incident in Tyre, which, for context, is there in the south, fairly southern city. There was an incident here where the Lebanese army were clearing a Hezbollah weapons depot, and 6 Lebanese soldiers died. And we don't actually know yet exactly how they died. It's just like one of those things where there are so many of these mysterious deaths that happened across the decades that loosely or directly involve Hezbollah, but we will never actually know or get any proper investigation into how it happened. It's pronounced Tyre. Well, I'm white, so I'm calling it Tyre because it's pronounced. Okay, Tyre. Yeah, okay. I should really behave myself. Yes, Tyre. The problem as well, though, that there are also still estimates that the number of rockets hidden around the south is still in the tens of thousands. So it's a very ambitious proposal to get them out fully disarmed by the end of the year. But I mean, according to everyone, according to Israel, the army, to the United States, it seems like they've done quite a good job so far. So, and the other issue is that Hezbollah are still fucked in the sense that their Iran, Iraq, Syria land corridor, where they could get arms from Iran through Iraq, through Syria into Lebanon, that's gone now. So this is the best chance for it. The rest of the Arab League, like the other Arab powers, don't really have that much time for helping Hezbollah. Funding is an issue because Hezbollah still have some Iranian money. And with Iranian money, they can say that they can get their kind of like foot in the door with public approval by saying that they want to rebuild and clear the rubble in Dahia and in the south, or even in the Bekaa. And the government obviously needs to match that. They need to see that and raise that, which they can only do with foreign support. So it's a pretty ambitious slope, but that seems to be the expectation now. The expectation is that they might actually there might be a disarmed Hezbollah by the end of the year. Wouldn't that be cute? Because I know it sounds nice to have a country with two armies, but it's actually not. It's actually quite bad. And then if that becomes the case, it's also the ripple effect, because if Hezbollah are disarmed, that also means that all of the killings that have potentially, or quite, in some cases fairly clearly, been attributable to Hezbollah, but we just don't know if they're actually going to be a thing, right? Because there's the murder of the prime minister, Hariri, in 2005, or there's the murder of a bunch of anti-Syrian occupation activists, a lot of which is attributable to Hezbollah. There still, to this day, has been no justice for the Beirut port explosion, which killed about 200 and something people, destroyed a good bunch of Beirut, which a lot of people blame Hezbollah for, not least of all because Hezbollah blocked the investigations into it. George Howie, another one, communist actually, yeah, quite a lot of leftists as well, have been murdered in mysterious circumstances that more likely than not involve Hezbollah, or at least Hezbollah sympathetic groups. So yeah, there would be quite a lot of downstream effects of them actually being fully disarmed. There'd be a lot of investigative material into stuff that they've done in the past, into how they actually fought in the previous war with Israel. There'd be a lot of internal documentation that might even get captured. So interesting, exciting. You might get to actually visit South Lebanon. Hey, well, right. I don't think it's that hard to visit South Lebanon as a Christian, right? Because there are Christians who live in South Lebanon. There's a really interesting map. I wonder if I could find it. There's a really interesting map from during the war where there was a map of the destruction and the operations that happened in South Lebanon. And obviously the entire south was covered in red, red meaning lots of fighting, lots of destruction. But there was this one little gap that you could see on the maps. I wonder if I can find it. Don't think I actually saved the picture, did I? Maybe? It's here. Wait, is it? I forget the... It doesn't help that this fucking town has different spelling every single time. This fucker here. Ramage, destruction, Lebanon, map, south. Is it here? Map of the attacks? Is it images? It's not this, is it? I think it's this. Hey, wait, this is an Arab media map. No, wait, that's not the best. Hang on, where's the other? Yeah, do you see here? You see how there's this there's a couple of them. You see this little blind spot here? Rumaish, or whatever you pronounce it. I don't know how you say that one. It sounds like a very difficult word. That's because this bit here is a Christian town. And there are a few Christian areas in the south, but this one was particularly notable because I think it's their mayor. I think it was their mayor, but as well as just the local community actually fought fairly aggressively to push Hezbollah out of the area. And because of that, they spent most of the war with their civilians just staying in the town, and just the entire bit surrounding them was just fucking really aggressive gunfire the entire time of the war. And they're just kind of sitting there everything just happening around them or beside them or above them. Yeah. Look how close it is. It's really close to Yarun. I think Yarun was pretty much completely destroyed. Marun al-Ras was largely destroyed. Bint Jbeil was seen as the kind of like terror capital, according to the Israelis. All these areas were just fucking rammed. And there's one area here. There are also quite a few mixed ones as well. Like Marjayoun is a fairly Christian area, but I think it does have Hezbollah presence. So yeah, you can go south if you're Christian. I went south actually with my family when I was in Lebanon because family friends live in one of these areas. Won't say where, but you can see the border. Let's go. Wasn't Marjayoun the headquarters for the SLA? I believe so. Yes. I could be misremembering that, but I think it was, yeah. What if you're Jewish? Can you go there safely? What, to Lebanon? Bro, no, probably not. There are about 20, last I checked. There are about 20 Jews who live in Lebanon. And they're all old as fuck. And they probably, over the years, have been so loudly anti-Zionist that they're probably all a bunch of fucking Zachary Fosters or whatever. Yeah. They hate each other. Do they? Did the last Jews in Lebanon hate each other? They probably do, actually. They probably scream at each other all the time. They probably celebrate when one dies. Like, I mean, quite a few northern Israelis, like northern Israeli Jews, are actually, you know, again, like Soviet Jews who went in the 90s and all that. Quite a lot of Jews left Lebanon during the Civil War. They're not even that like old revivals. Obviously, it's one of those things where during the Civil War or during the 48 war, a whole bunch of Jews left Lebanon. And then after, even during the Mandate period, quite a few would have. Definitely after the 6-Day War, a few would have. But some Jews in Lebanon actually stayed all the way up until the Civil War. And then in the Civil War, quite a few families got murdered, or a few people got murdered, so their families just fled. They went south, yeah. And during the occupation as well, because when Israel was occupying South Lebanon, that actually gave a path for Lebanese Jews to move south as well. It was like that fucking Israeli intel lady that I met in the north. She was like, "You're Lebanese, eh? Eh? I'm Lebanese." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Touche, wow." Reverse Uno, because her family, her extended, either her parents or her grandparents or whatever got murdered during one of these conflicts in Lebanon. And then they moved. And then she just stays around the north. The last Jews in Afghanistan. We love the last Jews in Afghanistan. Well, they're both gone now, aren't they? I think one of them died and the other one went to Israel. I have never seen any videos or anything ever about the last Jews in Lebanon. I don't know if I've ever seen any video footage of them or photos or any documentary. I don't know if they just keep their heads down. The last 2 Jews in Afghanistan fighting.
همه رو فدا میکنیم خوب آسان چند نفر بودن 3 نفر نه 2 نفر 2 نفر یکی تبله میزد یکی چی میکرد اما شما گفته که خوب نبودن این خلاص شما گفته که خوب نبودن یادتون میاد خب چی کنه ابو صدرالدین نیامد اومد گفت بهش گفتم شما مجله داریم اومد من بهش گفتم گفت خب زولان باز ریزنی کرد زولان گفتن
These guys have the same culture as Ethan Klein. That isn't an excuse for them to land grab or anything. Okay.
شما بیا چرا دو میزنی زولان دیونه شدی چی بلا گپ بدی نگفتم من به تو گفتم صدرالدین میگه بیا صدرالدین میگه بیا یه براش تار بزن چی دو میزنی زولان من تو چی گفتم چی گفتم من تو را اینو چی میگه اینه من به تک برای تکفی ندارم اینه دان اینجا شیشه بیادش پرسان کن اگه دان اینجا شیشه بیا پرسان کن این من برای توش گفتم زولان دیونه شدی چی بلا من به تو بدی نگفتم دان اینجا شاشته اینه یه سال نان میخوره بیا من به تو گپ بدی نگفتم دو میزنی دیگه چی کار داری پدر میگی مرده میگی زن میگی فاش میگی هر چی میخوای میگی چرا بیگناه بشی تقصیر اسرائیلی چی شد افریقی چی شد دوستی رفیقی چی شد به نکی با پدرت کردم با مادرت کردم با برادرت کردم تو که یکی اکبر هم بره برباد کردی من گویی من نصارا من گبر من تحصیل تو خوب او یالا کار من دیگه یالا کار من هر چی که تو میگی من هستم. چی میگی؟ زده من یلا کن. تو خوب، من بد.
گوش نمیکنم.
من بد. سگ وارونو به جون میفته. ببینی چی میگه؟
گوش نمیکنم.
I need to find the article again, but this guy died, and the guy who's shouting at him said that he was happy to be rid of him. I think it was for show, right? I think this was for like to get journalists to come over, because I know that I don't know about this one, but the other one would charge like extortionate amounts for any interviews. So I think they're hamming it up for fucking for money and clicks. I think that's what they're doing.
من به تو گپی ندارم. میگو صدیدین گفتم صدیدین گفتم زولان گفتی پیشل دو بره. تو خب پیشل دو بره.
They probably didn't like each other, but there's definitely incentive here to hype it up a little bit. Okay.